magical sound. Here we are back for a special edition of Detroit City Sportscast, Detroit Pistons Playoff Edition. God, it's so wild saying that. It is Monday, April the 14th, 2025. Garrett Cometz here, as always, not alone. Joining tonight, as always, the man that makes all this production stuff happening, especially when we have to get a Zoom subscription out of the blue, Adam Hernandez, and our Pistons subject matter expert, are one of our favorites to chat with, especially during matches, games, banters, everything like that. And a proud member of the Feldbush family. We'd go to Yowdy for baseball, but when it comes to Detroit Pistons, we got to go to Matt Feldbush. Gentlemen, Matt, welcome back for another edition. And how are the both of you tonight?
I'm doing pretty freaking great, Garrett and Adam. I'm happy to be on here again so quickly and with such a positive subject matter.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Adam, what about you? Especially as well, we got this clock up here, so it's like our version of a shot clock tonight.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to figure out how to hide that, so bear with me. It should be up.
It's actually kind of fitting tonight. I think this sets the tone, because if we watch a clock, whatever we're watching, basketball and TV, there's always clocks around us. And now I think on the clock are the Detroit Pistons playoffs. New York Knicks in the 3-6 matchup, a series that we were kind of thinking that was going to be like when we were last gathered together in the beginning of March. Although maybe the season not ending completely the way we wanted to. If I recall right, gentlemen, we had 20 games left to go. When we had talked, it was just a couple hours away from the start of the, was it 3 games on the road, 4 games on the road, or second of the 4 game.
Mm-hmm.
LA Clippers, the Pistons were 35-27. There were 20 games left. If I recall it, Matt, you picked 11-9 to end the season.
46 wins, I think is what I said. Yep.
Adam went 12-8 for 47. I went 13-7 for 48. 9-11, losing 6 of the last 8, although a handful of those were without Cade Cunningham, who was resting for some calf issues. Tobias Harris was out for a handful. But perhaps the big positive result was end of last week, big win at LCA hosting the New York Knicks, a playoff preview. Fantastic on Slam Night, which we'll obviously talk about for Cade Cunningham's second cover. So I'm going to ask the both of you this as we get into the start of this series, which begins this Saturday, April 19th, 6 p.m. on ESPN at Madison Square Garden. What stands out more as what's the thing to take note of more? This rough end of the Pistons regular season going into game 1, or their win over the Knicks last Thursday and finishing 3-1 in the season series against them?
You go ahead, Matt.
I would say the 3-1 record over the Knicks, I think, would be more important. Personally, I think that I understand that the last game they didn't have Josh Hart, they didn't have OG Anunoby, and I mean, Knicks Twitter is some of the worst people on Twitter, but a lot of them were arguing, oh, well, OG's a star killer. He'll stop Cade. He won't be able to do whatever he wants. Last time we played the Knicks at MSG, OG was guarding Cade, and he still had over 30 points.
Yeah.
I think that the last several games didn't go the way we planned because of what you mentioned. Obviously, missing Cade is a big deal, and he was out for 6 of those games, I think. I think missing Tobias not being there was a bigger issue, really. I think that having to start both Beasley and Tim Hardaway, while not necessarily a bad thing from an offensive perspective, really, I think was a bit less of just a defensive thing, of having Tobias, who is always kind of just on, not necessarily like lights out like Beasley can get, but like you can get a dependable 14 points out of Tobias every night.
Right.
as well as just the on-court leadership that I think he brings more so than the other two. And then also losing Beef Stew for a couple of games at the end too, and obviously the quote unquote brawl in Minnesota. I mean, that was three of our guys ejected, including having Tobias and Cade out for the next game
At Oklahoma City.
At Oklahoma City, which again, maybe that's not a winnable game, but we kept that game close, honestly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the games at the end could have gone a little differently. The Bucks game in particular was pretty frustrating. The first of the back-to-back that we had against them, the last home game, because I was there. That was kind of frustrating. Obviously, the last game of the season, who cares? They weren't playing for anything. I think as annoying as a 9-11 end of the season is, we're still 44-38. We still know who we are and what we are against the Knicks. I maintained last time that stars are made at MSG, and I think a lot of people believe that Cade's due for one of those big playoff kind of breakouts. So I'm not worried. Do I think we're going to win the series? Maybe. I think that it's feasible. I really think it's feasible. We're built in a way, I think, to really give the Knicks trouble. And but my goal is a playoff game win. Like, that is literally all that I think a lot of Pistons fans care about, to break that streak. That's the longest in NBA history of not winning a playoff game.
14 games in 17 years. Is it
14 games?
Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Memorial Day, if I remember right, against the Boston Celtics at the Palace of Auburn Hills, was the last time the Detroit Pistons won a playoff game. Adam, you and I talked Pistons on a Detroit City Sportscast last month. It was a couple of days after I was at Little Caesars Arena for the Oklahoma City Thunder game, which I think was when I really noticed, like, the old school vibes are back in the arena. The crowd being like, Matt, I think we mentioned it was very since the three of us met each other through Detroit City FC. It was vintage of that type of atmosphere in a little bit of way. And JB Bickerstaff was the quote unquote capo in that, and I think your brother would agree with me on that. Getting the crowd to when to let the noise and everything like that. But I feel like, where do you stand, Adam, on the fact of this team, like how they've ended? Is there any concern? Do you feel like, with Cade resting, potentially had an injury, or do you feel like we're getting the full on best versions of this squad as much as possible? Obviously, we know Jaden Ivey is going to be out, but this team ready to go, ready to prove something.
I don't think any of that really matters right now. I don't. I agree with Matt. I mean, win a playoff game. They've already proven everything they needed to prove this year. They more than tripled their win total.
Only team in NBA history to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they've already done everything that they need to do. What's nice about this series and the position that the Pistons are in right now is all of the pressure is on New York. All of it. Mm-hmm. New York has to deal with their fans. They've got to deal with the New York media. And they've got to deal with a Pistons team that has nothing to lose at this point right now. And those are three incredibly dangerous factors right now for the Knicks. The Knicks need to come out and show something, because right now the Knicks are in a position where they once again need to prove that they are a team that can go out and win a championship. They haven't won a championship since, what was it, the 90s? Early 90s? Mid-90s?
1972.
Oh, was it 70s? Okay, yeah.
They made the finals twice in 94 and 99, but they haven't won the titles
I forgot they didn't even win those. They didn't even win those times.
73 they won the title. 72 they lost in the finals to the Lakers. So 70 and 73 are their only two NBA titles.
Yeah, for some reason I'm having like a
You're thinking of the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm having a Mandela effect right now. I thought for some reason I thought that they won a championship in the 90s and they didn't. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the pressure that the Knicks are in right now. And the Pistons are not the team that they want to go up against.
Nope.
They wanted the Bucks really badly because they I think swept the Bucks this year.
They were one Indiana loss away from falling into that 4-5, and then us getting the Pacers.
Playing a team with
Or was it
nothing to
20?
lose and nothing else to prove this season it's a dangerous thing to embark on. And I feel good about this series just from the standpoint that it's going to be comfortable. Not in the sense that it's going to be a comfortable win, because I don't think the Pistons, if they do win this series, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be comfortable. It's just going to be comfortable going into this series knowing that we've done everything that we need to do this season and beyond. So,
Yeah. We were hopeful when we talked last summer after Trajan Landon, JB Bickerstaff being hired. We were hoping we can get double our win total, get to 30 wins. And we triple our win total. Shit's wild. Cade Cunningham, the it factor, him, two-time star, Slam magazine cover, NBA All-Star, person who's already shown well at Madison Square Garden this year when he's had a time. How much we already know what he can do. He's only one of three players. What was it? There was a stat line where he finished with 26 and 9 assists. Trying to think what number person he is. I'm trying to remember.
I think that was one of two. I'm pretty sure that was him and Jokic. Or maybe that was his 26-9-6 stat, maybe.
Yeah. And I know there was 7 total that have had a season similar to what he's had in some regard. It was like Oscar, but you look at the names in that. Yeah. Oscar Robertson, Luka Doncic, LeBron, Jokic. I felt like there were 2 others. I don't remember. KD, maybe. I don't remember the graphic flow. Yeah. But the point is, I know he's been getting increased spotlight nationally lately. Interview yesterday on ESPN with Shams, on TNT earlier with Lefko, Shaq, Candace, and Vince Carter. How much is now the rest of this country about to see what Cade Cunningham can do? Like, is he going when the spot? AKA the question is, are we about to see another level of him in this series?
I think so, and I think also he's supposed to be on ESPN a bunch before the. I thought I saw a tweet or something about him being on ESPN courtside. Is that what they are? One of the ESPN shows in the coming week before the playoffs start. So obviously that's exciting. Just seeing him on national television, just in terms of like interviews, is great. I think that's the one kind of quiet positive of us playing the Knicks, is that we are playing in the biggest media market in the entire country.
Yeah.
That's the one, like, obviously Indiana would have been a great series. And you could see the NBA kind of hyping it up as a rivalry reborn, 2 young teams that are coming up facing each other. But I think having the Knicks, and like you said, Garrett, about having, or maybe it was Adam, just the NBA or the New York media market, the star people that are in the audience, people that will be talking about Cade, and he doesn't have to do anything differently than he's already doing. I mean, he just casually puts up 30 points nowadays and flirts with a triple-double basically every game. And that's all it takes. I think that Miami game winner really did a lot for his national brand.
On national TV, yeah.
On national television, on ESPN. Like, that was truly just a fantastic way to cement your place on this team and on this stage. And having those games that are going to be on at 7:30 on TNT as opposed to 7:30 on NBA TV at the same time, which is probably what the Pacers and the Bucks are going to end up being. We get that national television spot pretty much guaranteed probably every game because we're playing the Knicks. So I don't think Cade's going to have to do anything extra special. I think ESPN and especially like NBA on Twitter has just been pushing Cade hard every time that Cade's going to be on TV. Everyone else seems to want to do the lifting for him, and I think he should be fine with that. I think he'll let his game talk for himself and let everyone else do all the grandstanding.
Yeah, I think
I also
that
think
would
too.
probably be my only. I would say real quick here. That's probably my only real concern about this is how a young team responds to that spotlight. I mean, this is the.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest spotlight, and as cliche as it sounds, I mean, this is the biggest stage, the biggest spotlight that they've ever, been under, as far as Cade goes, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And is he going to be able to take that next step? Because we talked about it the last show. We talked about what Cade's ceiling is as a player. And this is his opportunity now to potentially take that next step. And it's not like this is going to be his last opportunity to do that. It's not. He's going to have more opportunity to do this. It's just how quick can he potentially get to that next level? And that's going to be, and for me, that's going to be one of the keys to this series. Is Cade is going to need to take games over, and if he's able to do that, the Pistons have a really good chance at moving on to the next round.
Yeah, and I think also it's worth because there was some post-game interview. I think it was after the first Bucks game on Friday. Someone asked him, like, have you been reaching out to your teammates about what it's like to be in the postseason? And he said, I've been doing that every single year. And like, obviously you can ask them as much as you want. You're never going to learn unless you really experience it, which is what he said. But like, it's
Saturday
not just
night
him.
is when you're going to feel it. Saturday night's when you're going to feel it.
And it's not just him too. It is the majority of this team. I mean, Schroeder has the most, I believe, out of all of our guys postseason minutes. But I mean, it's Schroeder, it's Tobias, it's Tim, and it's Malik, and a little bit of B-ball Paul. B-ball Paul has a little bit of playoff experience. But I mean, that's 3 of our starters without having any exposure to the playoffs. That is several of our bench players, Stu, who despite being here for 5 years has obviously never had the pleasure of playing in the playoffs. You have Ron Holland, a 19-year-old who hopefully takes more of Simo's minutes like he has been lately, that we don't have to see Fontecchio all that much. Like, these are guys who...
Marcus Sasser, too.
These are guys who they know what it's like to play at MSG under the bright lights, but they don't know what it's like to play under bright lights at MSG on this type of stage. And I can understand the first game, it might be a little rough coming out the gate. I hope it's not. I think that'd be such a great statement win to come out game 1 just hard. But it's really going to be, I think, an interesting first couple of games to see how they adapt to that environment. And also just LCA at home. I don't think anybody's really prepared for what LCA at home is going to be like on the Pistons side or the Knicks side. But
it's funny that's funny because I'm thinking about, like, they were talking about it on TNT. And, like, everybody we were talking about, like, was Shaq's faux pas about really men not watching a whole lot. But then, like, I don't know if you watched when they did that 3-minute recap, and it was classic inside the NBA, why we love them so much, but so much talking out of their ass, too, at the same time. Of, like, I think, was it Charles that said, I can't wait for a playoff game at Auburn Hills. It's like, man, it's been 10 years since we've been at Auburn Hills almost. But still, that's what I'm saying. They won't know what to expect, and if we don't know, shit, they're about to be blown away. So if Cade's going to get his, and he'll find a way, and as we've been seeing to do lately, who needs to be the number 2, if there's a number 2 in this series, and who do we think it could be?
I think it kind of needs to be JD in a way. I think that the rebound, especially if Cat and Mitchell Robinson are on the floor, and especially even Josh Hart. Josh Hart's a wizard at rebounding despite his size.
Josh Hart's long, so he's always going to be a tough matchup.
He always knows where to be, too. I think they just have to be really cognizant of the boards, and I think JD is pivotal to that. I'm a little worried that recently, and it could just be because of Cade being out, that we haven't really gotten that Cade JD lob connection lately.
Yeah.
Ideally, that comes back, but I think JD really needs to step it up on both ends and be the guy that he has been for the past couple months. I think we just really need him to avoid dropping a dud. And I think that's who it will be too. I think that JD answers both your questions. I think it needs to be JD, and I think it will be JD, because I think he has really figured out his place on this team and his mindset these past couple months compared to what he started with. Beyond that, we just need our guys to make their buckets. We just need Malik and Tim to make the threes. We just need Beef to come off the bench and be that defensive presence. We need a star not to foul out. I think that's really it.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
I agree. I think it's got to be JD. I'm also looking at Beasley too. Just continuing to hit shots. Which is, if you look at Pistons teams of Pat, it's one of the big problems is shooting from seasons past. And I think, heading into the playoffs, they need to continue to shoot. So I'm going to go JD first and then Beasley second.
I really want to see. It seemed like Cat didn't want anything to do with Isaiah Stewart defensively.
Yep.
So can eyes are going to be on Isaiah Stewart. Unfortunate due to the technical fouls and everything like that. I think some of the rulings were a bit harsh. He got the 2-game suspension in Minnesota, in my opinion, is because of reputation, not because of action. But eyes are going to be on him, which means I'm sure JB's probably whispering in the ear, if this happens, shut the fuck up. His defense is going to be key, but I also think when Marcus Sasser gets his minutes, being an option. And Marcus Sasser, to me, for his size, is really good at driving and cutting. And some of the moves to the hoop I've seen, I was surprised because he can just slide in and out. And I think this is going to be... I'm thinking JD's the number 2 with y'all because he can get quick points. He can get quick rebounds. Also, our foul shooting.
Oh my God. Don't get me started on our free throw shooting. We get fouled so little, and we make so little of these small amount of chances that we get.
Yeah. So that might become...
I was going to say, Garrett, I like the Beef Stew pick there just because I think I think Beef Stew is going to be a catalyst in this series to show that the Pistons are ready for this spot. Just because Beef Stew isn't going to take shit from anybody in this series, right. and that's been his thing. Obviously, is he's a guy that doesn't take shit from opposing teams, and he's a guy that's not going to be afraid to mix it up with opposing teams. And I think that he's going to be one of those guys that is not going to be afraid to get get dirty in this series, and just kind of keep the Knicks on their toes a little bit. So
I wonder if that's the modern day version of Lance Stevenson against LeBron when it was Pacers Heat. I think it was Lance Stevenson, right?
Yeah.
That was just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
A pain in the ass presence.
Yeah.
Isaiah Stewart.
Was he the one that blew in LeBron's ear?
Yep.
Yeah. And I also saw, I was watching a video that was on YouTube that's kind of breaking down the matchup too, and it brought up the physicality of Detroit, and that in postseason games tend to be a bit more physical. They tend to let more things go in the postseason, which you would think would actually benefit the Pistons a lot more. They're used to not getting the calls already, and they're, like you said, with Isaiah Stewart, is getting in the trenches and I think just really getting people annoyed. And again, like we had brought up already, playing with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I think also something I kind of want to pick your guys' brains about is like we know that Tom Thibodeau loves to play his starters, if possible, 48 minutes all night. Obviously, that
grind them down.
And so I think they're going to have a very limited bench presence as well, considering their bench really is not that deep at all. So their main guys are going to be tired, but I'm curious about what you guys think, what our bench rotation might be. Because you mentioned Sasser, but I'm wondering if Sasser will even make the rotation, if JB will kind of keep it light and only go 8 players like a lot of coaches will in the postseason. I mean, we can assume Beasley, we can assume B. Stewart, maybe Ron Holland, but like, is that the extent of it? Should we just think that maybe Sasser and Fontecchio, B-ball Paul, if foul trouble requires it? I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on how deep JB might go, actually.
Adam, you want to go first on this?
Well, ironically enough, Matt, I was going to ask you what you thought Ron Holland's role was going to be in this series, considering the Pistons' tendency to mix things up a little bit. Be physical. He is one of those guys that isn't afraid to be physical.
Mm-hmm.
Game in and game out. Obviously, it's the stakes are a little bit different, or a lot different for that matter, being in the playoffs. So I think that despite him being a rookie, I think Ron Holland is going to have play a big role on the bench or coming off the bench in this series. I think he's very much going to be part of the rotation. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I agree. And I forgot to mention Schroeder, who obviously will be a great spark off the bench.
Yes.
I think Ron Holland it's a great point because he doesn't play like his age would imply. And I know JB has brought that up before about 19-year-old players really want to always have the ball and want to be the game changers. And Ron figured out early that that's not really what his role was going to be on this team. I think Ron is a perfect embodiment of this team along with Beastu because he doesn't back down. He is constantly so confident in his abilities as a player, as a cutter, as a driver. Like you mentioned Sasser, Garrett, but Ron has an insane knack of getting the ball in the hoop when he's near the paint.
That wing drive from the 3-point line to the paint, how he does it, how powerful he does it, how quick he does it.
Yeah.
And that's just right now raw 19-year-old for him.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a scary player one of the scarier players from this class. And just the ability he knows how to get the ball off the glass too, which is always very helpful around like taller guys. I think Ron's going to be a pretty pivotal, especially like just swapping him and Asar out. Like they aren't the same player really, but they have the same hustle, the same burst that if you take one off and all of a sudden you've got to face another one with fresh legs, that just seems so terrifying to me.
Yeah. I feel like Paul Reed might, if in an ideal world where you don't lose Duran and Stu to foul trouble, Paul Reed might be an odd man out, and maybe Tecchio. I think unfortunately Fontecchio has been playing himself out of a spot lately.
Yeah.
I think you're going to need that movement. Well, I think by the speed in those spots that might be. I see Sasser. Sasser might be a last guy in the rotation in that because I think Cade is obviously going to get on there. Schroeder, you would think, might be a backup for him, like lead the second unit. And then ideally you would think THJ and Malik. With Oster, or that might be you can go another small. They could also maybe try to go double big in a moment at time and do like Reed and Duran or Reed and there's a couple ways you can do about that because my one grave concern is if Tobias Harris is still banged up, we have adequate backups in positions except the four.
Yeah.
And that's like, obviously we'll talk about that's like the number one goal, I think, in this offseason is get a young four.
Yeah.
And maybe one of those kids that really showed yesterday in the minutes that they got, whether it's Bobby, whether it's who's the one that went off yesterday late in the game for us, 6'11", 245, went for 15, 16, 22, Lou, or Tolo Smith?
Oh, Tolu Smith, yeah.
I mean, you would hope that, those guys prove themselves with summer ball or anything like that to get moments. But I think that's going to be how many minutes is Tobias going to get? Because like I said, the Knicks bench, the only one I'm really like, we know PJ Tucker's a vet, but PJ Tucker's going to grind down. Cameron Payne is points and assists quickly in minutes.
Mhm.
That shot throws me the fuck off. As a left-hander, I thought Bill Lambier's shot was weird. Cameron Payne's is like the left-handed version of that.
It's almost as bad as Tyrese Halliburton's.
Yeah, good thing George Blaha's not here and hearing Tyrese Halliburton's name. But
by the way, I can't wait to hear George Blaha cook the Knicks for hopefully 7 games.
God, he's so pumped. This is so wild. And yeah, I feel like if Malik Beasley gets his moments, screen, pop, drop, that might be an X factor difference. It's gonna be fun. I'm really curious and excited to see all of this. Well, so why don't we play the 2 weeks from now, whenever this 7-game series is done, however many games it is, best of 7. How many games? Who wins it?
I've been waffling on this a bunch lately. My original was Pistons in 6. I think I'm going to. I gotta be a homer. I'm gonna say Pistons in 7. It was my answer. I think we have the ability to grind the New York Knicks down a lot, and I think that playing with house money will really let us loose. And when it comes to, if we force a Knicks team that only wants to ever play their starters 7 games, I think that's just really too rough for them. And I just feel confident in the Pistons' ability to break them down and shock the world. I mean, we mentioned it, like, obviously already many times, of how absolutely dumbfounding this is currently. And I think it still kind of hasn't really set in sometimes that we're the 6th seed. Like, we are genuinely, like, okay, yeah, we're in the East, whatever. We're a genuinely good team already. And
we're an over 500 team in the East. For the first time, had a team win a division in the Mando Magic under 500.
Yeah.
So we are good to an extent.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just the fact that you already said tripled our win total. We're the first team ever to have the worst record and then go to the playoffs immediately after. It's like, it feels like the Tigers last year. Like, the momentum isn't quite where the Tigers were at. The Tigers just could not stop winning towards the end of the season. Obviously, we've had our speed bumps here at the very end, but it feels like a lot of people would be behind us too. Like, they're the team that, okay, we see the Beast Stew always fights people online. We see Pistons fans are so insufferable because they finally realize what it's like to win people. And it's like, they were saying that about the Lions too. It's like, we don't know what this is like. Just let us be happy. And I think a lot of people are going to be on our side once the playoffs start as the team that nobody expected. Why not them, kind of thing. So Pistons in 7. Why not?
What about you, Adam?
The Knicks need to get this series over as soon as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
The longer it goes on, the longer it's going to favor the Pistons. And like Matt, I'm going to go Pistons in 7. If the Knicks don't win this in 5, I think it's over. I don't think the Knicks are going to grind out a winning game 6 or a winning game 7. They need to get this over as soon as possible. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think their lack of depth coming off the bench is going to come back to haunt them, and the Pistons are going to grind them down, just like you said, Matt. So I'm going to go Pistons in 7 as well.
My buddy, all of us all kind of know him to some extent, Jeremy Churchman, big basketball guy, although he's a Celtics guy.
Yeah.
He's even admitted, yeah, I don't know. I mean, people all make weird choices in life once in a while. I mean, we make fun of Yachty for being a Ravens fan.
Yes, we do.
He deserves
it. But
I love the eye roll from Matt.
Don't get me started.
Jerry is saying he even saw like that the Knicks don't want us, and he's even admitting as Boston he doesn't want us in round 2.
I wouldn't be
I'm
worried.
not getting to round 2.
I wouldn't be worried as a Celtics fan about us in round 2, if I'm honest with you. We beat them to 1 game, but Celtics are a freaking monster team.
Yeah.
They got hot. They're getting hot. Whoever wins, because it's Orlando, Atlanta tomorrow, right? Winner of that gets Boston. Winner of that gets Boston, and then the loser of Orlando, Atlanta versus the winner of Chicago, Miami gets to go to Cleveland.
I think
what a prize.
Yeah. I feel like the Knicks they got Brunson, but Brunson's ankle, is he 100%, or is he still dealing with some issues from the ankle injury? How's Cat going to react to being mixed up with Duran and Stu? And if they essentially try to double up, and will the Knicks have enough supporting scoring? Hart, Anobi, Cameron Payne, any of that. And as both of you have mentioned, can they get this done quick? Because if they don't, we saw Thursday, and that was for a regular season NBA game. I thought they let him play. In this era of the NBA, I thought they let him play.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded us of 10, 15, 20 years ago. Maybe not 80s, 90s ball, but more like, go in the work era. And now we're hitting playoffs where that shit's going to be even more physical, even more grind, even more everything. Pistons in 7. Because I agree with you. If the Knicks don't get it done by Madison Square Garden in Game 5, you're going to go into an potential elimination game in Little Caesars Arena with a fucking starving crowd. That if they're not coming to LCA, if the Winds aren't making the playoffs for LCA, they're going to find a way to get there for the Pistons on that. And like I said, vibes at LCA for Pistons games are back and levels. It's a spot to be. It's a hot ticket. Was it the Knicks game where it was people were usually try to get in just at the start of tip off? There was still lines out the door.
Yeah, it was like that on Friday too. We probably got there at like 6:50, 6:55, and there was a pretty big line out the door.
So, I mean, this is the stage that we've been waiting for a long time. And like you guys mentioned, we hope Pistons in 7. That's what we're feeling like. But even a couple wins in that, massive improvement when we talk about the fact that we have not won a playoff game in 17 years. Since there was all those graphics I found last year, we're the only team to not win a playoff game since Instagram started. All these type of bullshit things, they end in this series. Final note, because we talked about it briefly in Slam, and the 3 of us as sickos can't go on a live episode without talking about it. There were 2 Slam covers for Cade Cunningham. One had the current traditional blue, red, white, and blue, the blue unis, and others, which I believe are going to be announced, will be the City Edition uniforms next year. Gents, how much did those unis pop?
They're freaking good. I remember I think they kind of announced them on Monday. last week, and I was there with my dad, and so a bunch of the players were wearing the red shirts with the Slam cover on them, and they had the quote unquote upcoming City Edition jerseys, and they looked very purple from what we could see on the jumbo.
Yeah, and you popped a message in our chat about that.
I was really worried. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but that must have just been the printing, because when you look at them, they are so clean. They are this kind of really deep midnight blue, slate blue, kind of with the kind of red and gold accents. They just look so nice. I was kind of hoping they'd be the statement jerseys, actually,
and the teal. Yeah,
but those black DET statement jerseys, I think, just have to go at this point. So I was kind of hoping these would be them, but they're great as a City Edition, I think. And I think also, especially because we'll have a court that will kind of go with it too. I'm curious to see what that's going to look like if they'll implement that lightning bolt somehow. But kind of the connection to his red jerseys that he was wearing on his first Slam cover.
The 21-22s.
Which I know people really like those too. I'm glad, like, again, it's just more spotlight. It's just a man who deserves it and who's ready for it. And I'm looking forward to seeing these new jerseys in on the court next year.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I like them. They are very clean. I like clean jerseys. Yeah, the statement jerseys?
Yeah,
the black ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those need to go.
Our win-loss record in them isn't good either.
Yeah,
I'm tired of them. I'd like to see them do something different with that. I'd like them to bring back the horse in any capacity.
Yes,
whether
agreed.
it's a teal jersey or just bringing that back, and even that on a black jersey might be cool. But
even
if they wanted
the horse in the red, white, and blue, like I've seen some fan jerseys, we haven't. That would
whatever. I mean, I just get rid of the black, get a new statement jersey. But I do like the City jersey. It is nice. It is clean. I kind of like the City jersey. I kind of like the Bad Boys City jersey that we had last year, the black jersey. I thought that was better than the one we had this year.
I love this year so much. I love that.
They're both really good. I thought they're both really, really good. But I mean, overall, like I said, I like this one. I think it looks good. I wasn't a huge fan of it when the pictures first came out, but when they released that full-on picture so you could see the shorts and everything that went with it.
And then the video with Cade after, with like the behind the scenes with the natural lighting.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot more. So thumbs up for me.
My thing is, I wish they would just keep these City Edition jerseys for longer than 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
I know it's like the NBA thing is just constantly having to push this new merch out, but that's why I wanted them to be the statement jerseys, because I wanted them to be around for a little longer.
I feel like some teams, when Nike got the deal, some people had their cities for like a few years at a time, a little bit, and it was like a up to 3-year period. I think
I'm just glad I was able. I was just gonna say because I make the game day graphics before every game, and I was glad that I was able to find a website, that NBA website, NBA locker room website, and it shows what jersey each team was going to be wearing that night, because I was trying to like go through and try to see if a team had like their jersey schedules up, and like the Pistons were like the only team, it seemed like, in the NBA that had a jersey schedule posted. And
stuck to it, because like the Lakers got rid of their city because they were 2-9 in their city this year. City won, so they dumped that shit quick.
But anyway, sorry, Garrett, go ahead.
I think for me, when I was starting to see some of the shots, I started to think like Matt that it was purple, because I briefly I went back to the Vipers and thought if they were going to do that eggplant and like teal color scheme that the Vipers did in like the 90s for their aways. But then once you saw like the videos, I thought of that. It makes me think of that, like either that navy black. It's either that navy black. I think that felt like that they used in like the 17, 18, like when the Pistons went dark. But then that transitions of different eras. You got the teal and teal, yellow, gold, and whether it's the maroon or burgundy or just a standard red. I got it. We'll know once they're revealed of the '90s. You have the current day lettering, and the current logo on one side. You have the old logo, not the traditional '80s logo that won two NBA titles, but the OG logos of like Dave Bain and Bob Lanier and all of them on the left shorts. You have the lightning bolts from the 79, 80 to and 80, 81 jerseys, and what dare I say influenced the Detroit Shock jerseys.
Yep.
And the modern day version of the classic Detroit Pistons block lettering of the Isaiah Thomas bad boy era. So I feel like it is this great clean look, a mesh of eras. I hope we can see some more of that. I think it's a good time for them. It's a good time to like you said, statement and everything. I think it's a good time to overhaul it. I think it's a good time to have fun. We're on the cusp of something beautiful, I think, with this team here. Trying to not get too excited because the NBA can throw you off in one direction. I remember feeling the same way after we went 44-38 in 2015, 2016. And then we paid Andre Drummond a big amount of money, and yeah.
One last thing for me.
Yeah.
If we're done with the jersey talk,
Yeah.
I just want to know, was it a weak move by the Pistons to restrict playoff tickets to people only living in Michigan? So if you live out of state, you can't buy playoff tickets.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, it just came out this evening. They said they're restricting playoff tickets to people only living in Michigan. So Spike Lee will not be able to buy playoff tickets at the LCA, which I'm sure he'll still be able to get them somehow. But
Yeah.
if Spike Lee's trying to buy them from Ticketmaster or StubHub or something like that, then it's probably not going to be able to get them.
I think that's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. Like, I get it, but I think it's more fun if there are Knicks fans there who are willing to travel, just like there are probably going to be Pistons fans who are willing to travel to MSG. I think it'd be fun to see Spike Lee and Jalen Rose duke it out on the court. My thing is, I wanted to go to a playoff game, just obviously because it's the first one. They're ridiculously expensive too. Like, I can't go just because of my schedule. I have a super work conference when they're going to be in town, but it's really expensive too. And so it was a big leap from what the regular season tickets were. And so adding like, say someone from Toledo wanted to go who hasn't seen their Pistons, who they've been fans of their entire life, they can't even go to begin with. But then also it might be $170 for an upper bowl ticket. Like, that's really frustrating. I get it. It's playoffs. It's completely different. But that's one of the things I am worried about going forward is how much more expensive it's going to be a Pistons fan. Just like it is whenever these teams get good.
No, I mean, that's exactly. It's not just going to games too. I mean, it's becoming more and more that you have to be rich in order to, follow your sports teams live. I mean, rich is a bit of a stretch. I mean, it's becoming, you have to have a lot of money to go to these games.
Income,
because I mean, the parking, concessions, tickets themselves, it's a lot of money. But even to watch the games on TV during the regular season, all these subscriptions and everything like that, it sucks. But I mean, I definitely see your point, Matt.
So is it a Pistons? I will say, is it a Pistons thing or is it a Ticketmaster? Because I felt like I've heard it in other markets. It's a Pistons.
It's a Pistons thing. Yep.
That sucks.
I guess people use VPNs if they wanted to, but
yeah,
I'm sure there's ways around it. But yeah.
What I wonder though is, now be a good visual schematic is are these costs for playoffs going to affect the visual? That is, i.e., we'll be seeing black in black seats at LCA because of the amount of cost that it is for a playoff ticket. That's going to be really interesting, I think, to see. We'll obviously be seeing it and everything. It's again, like, I'm with you, man. It's so weird to just be sitting here saying we're talking Pistons playoffs this season.
For what it's worth,
Like,
I do see the announcement. It does say certain parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Ontario are allowed. So it implies to me that at least northern Indiana, northern Iowa, or Ohio, and western, kind of like the Windsor Peninsula, will probably be allowed, that's better
so, like,
than just
I was
nobody
about to say,
outside.
if the Fort Wayne market can't buy tickets for a team that was originally in their own town before they came to Detroit, and then
Yeah.
Pontiac, then Auburn Hills, then back to Detroit. But yeah, that would be kind of whack. That's good at least. So, I mean, yeah, don't want Fort Wayne people to have to feel like they got to go to Pacers Bucks if they don't have to. Fun. Let's do some fun, real quick, fun shit. Just because I want to just see what everyone's takes is. So Cleveland. Who do you think is going to be the 8 to play Cleveland? Who do you think is going to be the 7 to play Boston, and then Pacers Bucks? Who are your winners in that? So
I don't want to root against the Pacers right now. If the Bucks can get Dame back, it's a different ballgame. I don't think they're going to, so I got to go Pacers. I understand that Giannis is Giannis, and I
playoff
think
Giannis means foul line.
yes, which we saw a bunch of on Friday. But you put Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner on him. Obviously, there's Brook Lopez to worry about, but like nobody's worried about Kyle Kuzma. No one's worried about Ryan Rollins or
What about KPJ?
KPJ was pretty scary against us on Friday. I felt like he could do whatever he wanted. They're a good team. Like, I don't think they're not a good team. I just think the Pacers, just in general, are just really coming into their own lately. So I got to go Pacers. I got to think Cleveland over the Magic, not Cleveland, Boston over the Magic, the 2-7 game.
Is that a sweep?
I call it a gentleman's sweep.
Close games, but sweep.
Yeah, I don't think the Magic, just without Jalen Suggs and Carroll and Wagner still not really being at their best, I think it's just going to be trouble for them. And then I kind of want to say the Bulls, honestly. I think they can beat the Heat. The Heat are listless, and I just don't really. The Hawks, Dyson Daniels obviously is one of the most impressive people in this league lately, but I just don't think the Hawks have enough in them. I think they're just a little listless, whereas the Bulls are at least a fun basketball team to watch. And when their guys are on, especially Kobe White,
Vooch,
Matas has been pretty impressive lately, and I hate to say it, Josh Giddey as well.
That fucker went off on us when I was at LCA in November, I feel like. Or was that did he go off, or was that Levine?
Levine definitely did. Levine always does.
Levine always goes off on us, regardless of what uniform he's wearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am going to be so dirty for saying this because it involves the Cleveland team. But if it is the Bulls that have to go up against the Cavs, I hope the Cavs beat them by 20, 25 plus every single game. Because
respect.
My Chicago, I tell people my issues with the city of Chicago with especially sports teams. Before there was the Blackhawks, it was always the Bulls. That's what led me to my Chicago disdain.
Like
on there. What about you, Adam? How are you seeing those other East series going out?
I'm going to go with the Bulls over the Heat as well. For the sake of being different, I guess I'll go with the Magic over the Hawks. And then Cleveland and Boston are both going to win their first round series either way. So I don't think that matters. We're going to pick the Pistons over the Knicks. And I'll go with the Pacers over the Bucks as well.
Yeah, And if the Knicks get by us in after 5 games, have fun, Boston. Thank us later. Well, but hopefully that's not the case. I mean, I ain't gonna even predict the West. The West is gonna be wild. The West is gonna be fun.
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard healthy for the Clippers. That might be a. That's what Nuggets. Is it Nuggets Clippers in that first round?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I would be very worried if I was a Nuggets, honestly. I mentioned last time we talked about how basketball's better when Kawhi is playing. And I wasn't able to watch the game, but that was clearly apparent when the Clippers played the Warriors to decide who got the 5th seed. And who would have thought Kawhi and Harden together would have been such an insane combo, especially lately. But I want to shout out Ivica Zubats as well, who's been freaking insane.
Dude beat the shit out of us both times this year.
Yeah, honestly, probably should win Most Improved Player, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So the Clippers are a scary team, honestly. I think Tyronn Lue will get some Coach of the Year votes as well. I would not want to play the Clippers in the playoffs, which people have said that before. I know it's weird how they've tried to assemble this team to compete in the playoffs, and they always fall flat because Paul George was injured or Kawhi was injured. And right now feels like it's finally the culmination of that, when it seemed like they were basically doomed at the start of the season. So shout out to the Clippers. I'm kind of ready to root for them in the West.
Also, Nuggets firing after, how are they going to do in the playoffs after firing both Michael Malone and their GM, which after Memphis was the first team to let their coach go at the end of the season. Candace Parker said it best with the Luka trade took a lot of these respectful type situations out of the game. When with the Doncic trade and then two playoff team head coaches being let go. I'm going to make one statement in the West. T-Wolves are beating the Lakers in round 1.
Ooh.
And
I would love that.
I think the T-Wolves. Okay, did I hate playing them at the time of that brawl? Yeah, but I also respects game a little bit on that. I do like Ant Edwards when he plays, as far as like attitude and old school, like that old school feel I think we've talked about. But I think they can be a great fit. They're a physical, imposing team. I mean, I don't like Rudy Gobert, but if that dude gets his points and boards and can be a physical nightmare, I don't know if the Lakers have to make their shots. If they don't make their shots, I take Minnesota in that.
Yeah, I like it.
You got anything on the West, Adam?
I think Golden State finally wins a plan. I think they beat the Grizzlies, and
that's the 7-8. Holy shit!
And I think the Kings are just going to embarrass the Mavericks, and things aren't going to get any better for Nico. So I think, that's the only thing I have for the West right now.
Shout out to OG Piston, going to work era Piston Chauncey Billups on his coaching extension for the Blazers. 14 win turnaround. So, but yeah,
honestly, a pretty hot. They got hot for a while. The Trailblazers are going to be pretty good coming forward. I think the West is just going to be a freaking meat grinder.
I thought Chauncey was the coach of the Pistons.
Oh my god. Way to call that one back. So Saturday, we'll obviously, when we do another one of these things, it'll be at the end of round 1. Hopefully our predictions turn out to be, we're smiling because we were right about our predictions. We shall see. Saturday, April 19th, 6 p.m. ESPN, game 1. I don't know. I mean, Adam's going to probably be at Keyworth, but I'm put the game on the tab. You might have to cut recap stuff short for that because I know I'm not going to be there for it. But we're going to be ready on that. Matt, where can folks find you out online? I know you're on multiple fronts. It's Pistons time. We know that's all you're going to be talking about.
It probably will be mostly of what I talk about. You can find me at Matt Feldbush on Twitter. I think it's Matt Feldbush on Blue Sky. I don't post on Blue Sky, but I'm there. Yeah, hopefully. I'm kind of. I've seen people on Twitter mention about how Pistons fans are going to be really tough to follow on Twitter during the playoffs because a lot of Pistons fans are over. They freak out over the smallest things, and I know that I have been. I've probably been guilty of doing that before, freaking out about the Pistons, but I, I'm going to be insufferable to a lot of people probably on the comments that I read. It took me a lot not to go off on Minnesota fans after the brawl. Um, so yeah, if you want to see something like that, then go for it. But I'm really just excited. I just can't wait. And whether or not our next meeting is happy or not, we're freaking here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's our time now. So get ready, everybody else. When the Pistons are good, everybody hates the Pistons. So that's just what's going to be from now on.
When the Pistons are good, life is good. That's all I'm telling you on there. Adam, what about you, buddy?
Major Detroit, TMS Next Detroit on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. Also, make sure you like and subscribe. Podcasts on any of the major podcasting platforms, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And make sure you follow us and like our videos on YouTube as well. YouTube.com/MajorsTV, and find me at TMS Next Adam on Twitter and Blue Sky.
On Twitter, Instagram, Discord at GM Comats, Blue Sky GM Comats.bsky.social. Plenty of things on there. I think also in addition to Adam, I think it'll be good to say I'll be doing little recap video, like quick recaps after each game, just to kind of see where we're all at. Kind of similar to what we've done with our for Detroit City and Lions game. So be on the lookout for that, folks. That'll be on the Majors TV YouTube and the TMS and X Detroit Instagram pages. We're at the final countdown for Detroit Pistons basketball, Saturday, April 19th, 6 p.m. We went to work with this podcast. They get to go to work on the thing on there. Detroit basketball to one and all. We'll talk soon. See ya.